Savage Dragon 82 from December of 2000. The Bug Riders. I love this cover. And actually, this whole issue kind of reminds me of another Image series that came out earlier this year, Bug Wars by Jason Aaron. It's been kind of a modest hit, but it's got these dudes riding these wasps and beetles and flies. So you can kind of see the similarities there. Except this is tiny people on normal size insects, not normal size people on gigantic insects. But enough of that. Let's get to this issue of Savage Dragon. Got credits for Josh Eckhorn, who is patiently waiting under the mistletoe with a cold sore on his lip the size of a canned ham. Merry Christmas. Got our creative team down here. Eric Larson, pictures and words. Eliopolis letters. Rude and Motown on colors. All right, the Bug Riders. So Dragon is trying to eat some berries or something like that when he's interrupted by the Bug Riders themselves. I'll leave it on this beautiful double-page splash while we check out what happened previously in issue 81, where Dragon escaped this underwater city of Atlantis and washed up on an unknown shore. So Dragon strikes up a conversation with one of these Bug Riders, and it only takes him one panel to deduce that he is in Australia. Maybe it was the accent, or maybe it was the fact that he's riding a giant grasshopper. Maybe it was this outfit, this sleeveless shirt with some cool shades. But Guy Masters here is your typical Australian, as I understand it. So Guy offers Dragon a lift to the nearest town, where Dragon breaks up a fight between what appears to be Peter Parker and Johnny Storm. But it's a misunderstanding. So these dudes are training for battle in the gladiatorial games. And Guy says, Dragon could clean up if he entered the games, but Dragon is not interested. He just wants to get back to America. So he's wandering around trying to find a lift home. He finds some grub as well as a job. So very reminiscent of the early issues of Savage Dragon, where Dragon was working manual labor, trying to get settled in his new life. And a lot of fans expressed relief at getting to this point in the story here, because this is like the first time in the new Savage world where Dragon has had a chance to kind of relax and isn't being directly threatened by monsters or aliens or whatever. And some time passes within these pages, so we're following along with the narration in these green captions here. No more thought balloons, at least in this issue. But of course there's violence. Dragon loses his job. And then these brown shirt Nazi assholes, they are shaking down this couple for having VHS tapes and televisions. Oh boy, I would not make it in Australia. I'm not giving up my witchcraft VHS collection. So no technology is allowed. That's how they keep out Cyberface, a.k.a. King Khan. And so they kill this dude for breaking the rules. And this just sends Dragon over the edge. He beats the crap out of these guys. And he rescues the girl. And they're going to make a break for it. So they're going to try and escape by boat. But they are attacked by the Wasp Riders. So Dragon has to shove the boat off and hope the girl can escape there. And he manages to fend off the attack. And then Dragon is able to escape thanks to the help of Guy Masters. But as he swims away, a gigantic bomb is dropped on him, knocking out the dragon, washing him ashore, where he is captured by Brainy Ape and Barbaric and Badrock, of all people. So what the hell's going on here? Dragon is thrown into a cell along with Mike Allred's Madman. Just a wild issue here, as it looks like Dragon versus Madman in the Arena of Death. Next issue. Exciting stuff. On to the letters page with reaction to issue 80. It's kind of a mixed bag. There's a letter here by Ben Herman. He says that he saw Larson at a convention recently, and he says, "What surprised me was how you hold a pen when you draw. It was weird. Do you draw everything like that?" So if you don't know, Larson has like a famously bizarre drawing style seen here. And Larson explains, "Yes, I hold my pencil like a Neanderthal all the time. I picked up that way as a kid, and nobody could get me to stop. I don't know how the dude draws like that. He's very unique for sure. Got another letter here by Benjamin Wade with the usual numbered list of questions. But what interested me here was right before he signs off. He says, "I have to recommend that you see Unbreakable, Eric. It's a movie involving comics in a big way. I know you don't see too many movies often, but you got to see this one." And Larson says that he will rent it when it comes out on video. So yeah, Unbreakable released the previous month. And I remember the conversation around that. Some fans saying it was the best comic book movie to ever come out. Just kind of interesting where we are 25 years later with when it comes to like comic book films. You know, we haven't even had the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man yet, so some untapped potential there. Then there's also this letter where this guy calls Larson mediocre and says that he's fallen from grace. I was going to read that in the reply, but it turns out the guy who wrote it died in 2009, so no need to speak ill of the dead. R.I.P., dude. Enough of that, though. We could check out this pinup by Thomas Scioli. Larson says, "You thought my stuff looked like Kirby." Of course, Tom Scioli of Cartoonist Kayfabe, the Total Recall show on YouTube. I can link to that. I love his stuff, though. Monsterpiece Theater made my best of 2024 list, and he's got boatloads of other great comics out there, so it was cool to see that. Got Dragonbert by Carl H., making fun of the Rob Liefeld Captain America right there. Let's see. Megaton Man is on hiatus. So we got Astounding Space Thrills, #1. It's kind of interesting. This started as an early webcomic on the internet in 1998, created by Steve Conley. I think he's still working today. I'll link to his webpage. But he took this webcomic and then had like a 3 or 4 issue run with Image Comics. I've never read it, but it's kind of interesting to me, these early adopters of the online comics or digital comics. I remember the Savage Dragon CD-ROMs they used to advertise back here, and there were videos of those too. 2001 Image Insider. These are dark times. So here's a list of new comics coming out this year, and it's rough. I only know a handful of these, so let's read the list. Maybe you recognize more than I do. Got Obergeist, The Disciples, Superstar, as seen on TV, Tales of Telos, Maiden Voyage, Low Tribe, Electropolis, Rail, Mech Destroyer, Shidima, Randy O'Donnell is the Man. What the fuck is that? Mr. Right, No Honor, Lightwing, Little Red Hot, Bound, Riftwave, Warlands, Age of Ice, Aria, The Soul Market, Dolls, Espionage, Fathom, Bluntman and Chronic, Ministry of Space. Obviously not completely obscure stuff towards the end there, but a majority of that is pretty forgettable or maybe just forgotten comics. I may look in some of those to see what I missed, but one book I'm definitely going to track down is that Big Bang #35, which is Big Bang versus 1963. I have that series, but I want that issue. Then down here, there's a piece on Code Flesh by Joe Casey and Charlie Adlard. I think I missed that one as well. Let's see, we got Desperate Times by Chris Eliopoulos, continuing the high school adventures of the alien Zort, which just leaves the back page ad for the 24-hour comic, Image 2 and 1. But more interestingly is that issue 85, we still got Madman in the Atomics around, so he's going to be around for at least 3 issues. So that does it for this one. Yeah, next week, we got Madman in issue 83. Adios.